I thank all of you for coming. This is our first live event at Toronto. We do a live event at Sundance, and we do a live event at Cannes. We also host a pajama party at the Cannes Film Festival. So we invite all of you to come to Cannes to bring your PJs. First of all, I want to thank the King Edward Hotel, their staff and all that they do, and to help us along this way have been great. I also want to thank our live streaming company. Thank you very much for all that you have done. I'd like to thank my partner, David Rubenstein, who's my partner in a law firm called Rubenstein Business Law. We have to thank Eric Wallweiler, and he is one of the producers of this event. And I hope all of you have a good time. We have sponsors here, and without the sponsors, we wouldn't be able to do it. Our first sponsor is Eggplant Pictures and Sound. Is Paul here? Paul, grab Paul. Okay, will someone grab Paul? Okay. All right, we'll go on. The accounting firm of Stockman, Cast Ryan and Company. They're an accounting firm in Colorado, and they're one of the best accounting firms for film and television. I want to thank Duffer and Gate Studios. Is someone here from that studio? We're batting 1,000. I want to Front Row Insurance. Someone here from Front Row Insurance. I'd like to thank them. Backlot Film Studios. Is there anyone here from Backlot Studios? Belize Film Commission. Is there anyone here from the Belize Film Commission? All right, well, they may drift in from time to time, and I would really want to thank them. We have the program for today and tonight. We have our panels from about 10 to about 5-ish. Then we have a pitch contest. And we'll allow 20 or 25 people to pitch their projects to a panel of 6. I'm one of the judges. And there are prizes and events that the winner gets, including prizes from Rain Dance and $1,500 of free service from me on your project. That's not worth very much, but that's what's happening then. Okay. After the pitch contest, Rain Dance has a party here from 7 to 11. There's going to be a live band and some dancing. Okay, I don't dance, but all of you can. So we're going to have that. So please plan on being here for part or most of the day. But if you leave, you're welcome to come back for the pitch and the party from 7 to 11. Before we start, I have to tell you something. There's a black hat back there, and you're probably wondering why there's a black hat. I am dear friends with a family here, and this lady here, Nadine Weiss, with her children, provides gifts and food to the homeless here, goes to hospitals with their kids and give gifts to children who are sick or dying of cancer and various diseases. And the causes that she supports with your contributions will go a great way. So I'm going to have her talk for a few minutes about what she does and why she does it. And anyone, there's no obligation, but anyone who wants to leave some cash or a check in that black hat and put their email down in the book, you will get an email as to where your money has gone to and see the results of what happens to the kids and the homeless that she helps. So I want to introduce Nadine Weiss. Someone give her a mic. Okay, here. Yeah.
This works?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Well, I want to give you my back. Yeah, I'll stand here.
Okay.
All right, talk. Good morning.
Yeah, put the mic up there.
Here?
Yeah.
It's so loud. Okay. So yes, Corky told you an overview in general of what I do, but I want to tell you of how and why I do what I do and where my passion is driven from. So my organization, my small family organization, is called Everyone Benefits. And how it started, I have 4 children, and we were on our way to school one day, and I said to them, I'm going to give you all a challenge. The challenge today is to make somebody smile today at school. And they said, okay, that's easy. I said, well, make somebody smile in any way, share a snack, talk to a kid, help someone out. But I want you to stop and notice when that person is helped and smiles, I want you to notice how you feel. And then I want you to notice how they feel. And then at dinner, we're going to talk about how everybody did their challenge. So it's become a daily thing, and it's very beautiful because each child has their own version of how the story went and their own experience. And when the most important thing for me is for the children to understand that when you help somebody out, you're not only helping somebody else, you're helping yourself. And through that cycle of giving and receiving, big things and good things happen.
And there are hug cards there, and please take a hug card and
I'm going to get to that, Corky.
Oh, sorry.
It doesn't make sense yet. Okay. Hold on. So this is how the Everyone Benefits concept in my mind came, because I constantly tell my kids, we all benefit, so continue. And that's why they keep doing it, and they keep helping, and because it helps them, and it fills them. And if your bucket is full, then you have enough of an overflow to give to somebody else. So I recommend if any of you have children, copy my challenge. And it's a beautiful conversation over dinner. So as we continue to do that, I'm a teacher for many years, and I stopped teaching in the traditional sense after I had my children. And I'm teaching in a different way now. Because of something that happened to our family, some adversity happened, and we chose to take the beauty and make something big of it. So when my oldest, he's now going to be 13, when my oldest was 4 years old, he presented with a seizure, and we went to the hospital and it resulted in a brain tumor. So when he was 4, we had to have a surgery, and I kept it to myself. And I didn't tell anybody about it because the fact, in my mind, if I told somebody, it would become very real, and I didn't want it to be real, so I kept it inside. 4 years later, we had to have a second surgery for my son because the first one didn't work. And this time, he's now 8, he said to me, Mommy, I need you to tell the world about my surgery. And I said, why? Why am I going to tell everybody? And he goes, because I think you need the support. And I said to him, why would I need support if I have Grandma and Dad and all the people around us? He goes, no, I think you need it. You need to be stronger. And he said, I know how the internet works. Put it out. Maybe people will see. It'll bring you support. So I went to bed that night crying, and I said to my husband, I have to honor my son's wish because he is not worrying about himself. He's worrying about me. So we came up with an idea of putting our story out there and urging everybody to hug each other on the day of his surgery. And that way the air and the universe would be full of positive energy, and that way people will benefit by hugging each other, and we will be receiving the positive energy. And so the video and the message was passed along, and we received messages and hugs and pictures from all around the world. We were recognized by the mayor, we were recognized on TV, so my son thought he was a superstar and distracted him till the day of his surgery. My other kids as well, this was very cool. And I felt very supported for the first time. And I guess he realized that I needed to feel empowered and not so quiet. So the day of his surgery was incredible because as we were sitting in the hospital waiting, people were sending packages from all over the country. People were coming into the waiting room to give me hugs, and so the time of his surgery passed very quickly. I didn't have a moment to be worried or sad, and I was just being filled with the positive energy from everybody. So 2 days later, we were in and out of the hospital, and it was incredible the amount of support that we felt. So as a family, we said we have to give back some way to everybody around the world who helped us, because really all of that energy really helped bring us positiveness. So I came up with a card, and they're at the back, so I would urge everybody to take it. And it's a hug. It's a hug for your pocket. And you never know when you're going to need a hug. And when you do get that hug, the two people benefit. The person giving, the person receiving, and it goes around with this good energy that we both need, both parties. You never know when you need it, but when you get it, you realize you did need it. So with these hug cards, I keep them in my purse. My kids take them to school. We give them out constantly to people on the street, to anybody who we feel need it. And it's a very beautiful thing because the reaction of the people is very beautiful. People break down crying, or somebody says to me, you had no idea that I needed this in this moment right now, and it's something very beautiful. And as we were handing them out, organizations and people and schools and dance studios have said, I want these hugs for my clients. So some people have been buying them, putting their names on them, and then when we receive the proceeds from those hugs, every penny goes back into the community. So this is our good karma. This is not for profit, this is for karma. This helps us do all the other projects that we're doing. So what we do with the money when it comes in is we choose with my kids, what are we going to do with this money? And we find someone in the community that might need it, and we go with that small amount, whatever it is, and we do it. So many times we've bought food for the homeless, and we've made packages with my children, and we go out to hand them out. We bought toys for children and took them to shelters. Like Corky said, we went to the hospital, children that needed a little bit of a hug and a little bit of a gift, and the parents as well. We went, and with that money, we bought them gifts. And it's very beautiful. My kids come with me to do it. So I love for them to see and to feel that goodness of giving, and giving from something that came from our hugs. So it's a full circle constantly, and we're always talking about it and how important it is. And I'm very grateful for Corky to giving me the chance to come here and talk to you and share my story, my kid's story, and my goodness, because that's basically and essentially what it all comes down to, is what we constantly talk about is be a good person, accept yourself, have compassion for yourself so that you can have compassion and acceptance for others. And that's basically fundamentally what we're all about. If you don't have that, then nothing else really matters. So thank you, Corky, for having me here. And so at the back, as Corky said, there's a hat, there's a notebook, and there's some hug cards. So please take a hug card for you, and if you want another one to pass along. And in the notebook, if you leave me your email, when we collect the proceeds, I'm going to go home with my children and choose what we're going to do with it. And I will email all of you to show you where the money has gone, and you can follow our story.
Okay, thank you. But I have to tell you, I heard about this because I'm part of their extended family, and every time that I see her, I give her a check, because I can't see her and not realize that what money I give to her goes to causes that I couldn't even believe that the money goes to. Again, this is not the Jerry Lewis telethon, but everybody who wants to, there's no obligation. Take a hug card. It matters not whether you contribute, but anyone who wants to put a little money or a check in the hat, please do. I promise you, as someone sitting here, that you will be so proud of where the money goes to. Thank you.
Thank you, Corky. Thank you, everyone.
Paul's here, and he's one of the sponsors, Eggplant Pictures. Paul, can you stand up and say a little thing about your company? No, here's the mic. No, back of you.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Corky, for this opportunity. We are sponsoring this event and hoping to meet young filmmakers and established filmmakers. We are a post-production company just up the street on King Street here at Princess. And there's two components to our company. Terry is part of the music side, original music, and also development of content. Our division is picture and sound, which is color grading, visual effects, mastering of feature film and television projects. And we also have a strong audio component as well for mixing and for editorial. And we'll be at the back throughout the day. If you have any questions, come and approach me. Thank you so much.
I also, Paul, thank you. I also wanted to say something. We have a federal incentive in the United States, and we can wipe out people's federal taxes who are taxpayers in the United States by investing in film and television. But we're allowed to spend 25% outside of the United States under our federal incentive. And if you use the federal incentive with taxpayers in the United States, and you go to one of the 41 states in the United States that give money back, and you come to Toronto to use Eggplant Pictures as an example for Post, you can guarantee your investors a recovery of their money of 76 cents on every dollar. So it's an amazing climate to really do that. All right, we have a panel to start with, and I'm sorry that we took the time to go through this. And I want every panelist to introduce themselves, say about a minute or two about what they do, and then we'll go on to the question. Terry, start. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Terry Tompkins. I'm, as Paul said, with Eggplant. I started in the music side, so I started as a composer-songwriter for mainly children's television. And through access to broadcasters in that role, started to gain relationships with broadcasters, and we started to develop our own content. The first show we did was really a puppet show that I emailed cold to Lou Wallach, who was the director of development at Comedy Central in the U.S., and through that email we got a green light. And it was the first ever cold email that Comedy Central had ever eventually greenlit. And since then, we've grown on to produce some factual contact, and currently we've sort of pivoted to scripted, and that's going quite well for us. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Okay, Suzy?
Hi, I'm going to give you time back. So I am a branding guru, and the reason I am here today is I went with Corky to Cannes, and I was talking to independent filmmakers, and they were telling me these amazing stories, and I looked at the publicist and said, well, what happens to the stories around the stories of the film? And she said, well, not much. And I turned to Corky and I said, if I was 20 years younger, I would change it. He goes, get on a panel in Toronto and forget about your age.
Okay, wait. So Ash, I met at the Cannes Film Festival. His claim, besides what he says he does, is he has 7 kids.
Yeah.
So
It was a pajama. Like I had to actually come up with special pajamas for that party because normally I don't wear any pajamas. That's how you end up with 7 kids, by the way.
So if you come to Cannes, bring your PJs. Okay.
I'm Ash Greyson. I have a digital marketing company out of Nashville, Tennessee. But I have worked on, in some capacity since 2012, over 150 movies. My next movie coming out, let's see, is next month. It's called The Current War with Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Holland, so it's pretty easy for a marketer, that stuff. And I love independent film. I just love it. Most of what we've worked on is smaller independent movies, and a lot of them have gone on to do really well. And I'm really here to support you guys.
I'm Honnie Korngold with Cinevantage Productions. My husband and partner, Gary Korngold, and I have a company that's Los Angeles and Denver based. And we specialize in, we call them inspirational films. So films that are usually based on true stories, stories that just make you want to stand up and cheer. So that's what we do.
Okay, Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa. I started out as a writer, and I got into production, and right now we're doing a sci-fi called Faction 2, and it's one of a trilogy, and stars Joachim AsBoek from Bridge of Spies and Schindler's List, and Dan Cade from Knightfall and Extinction, and hopefully we can, push that film here at TIFF and see what happens.
Okay, thank you. Let's do the flip of what it said. Let's talk about pitching first, because let's spend 5 minutes about the art of pitch, and then we'll go into branding, and we'll go into marketing, and we can all, talk about it. So I believe, and people tell me that I'm wrong, that you cannot teach pitching, that you either have the gift to pitch or you don't. And for lack of a better term, I'm a pitchster, and I believe that I can come up with good pitches. But if you don't have someone that's good to pitch on your team, you don't feel comfortable doing it, find someone. Terry, do you pitch, or people pitch you? And if they pitch you, what do you look for in a pitch?
Well, I pitch quite a bit. I enjoy it, actually. It's kind of a game, really. And I get pitched too sometimes. When I go into pitch, one, I think you need to personally sort of create a rapport in your first little interaction. But you really need to know your project. You really have to believe in your project. If you're not believing in it, your pitch is going to suffer, and they can see through that. But really knowing the project, knowing the target audience, they're really basics, and most people know this, but sometimes people just get sort of confused and off track in a pitch, and they don't get their message across. And I'm not a big believer in pitching a bunch of projects at one time. I like to go in a little bit more targeted than that. I like to, I might bring in a couple, but I don't, do the sort of, here's a 2 sentences about each project and go down through them. I like to sort of make sure that I've targeted the right person and that I'm targeting the right message to give that person.
Okay, thank you. Ash, do you get pitched to? And how,
All the time, right?
Okay.
So you're kind of always pitching, whether it's me trying to pitch my wife to go on a date with me, whatever. You're always pitching. And I think the number one thing from my side, because I kind of represent the audience, is you need to not just pitch your story, you have to pitch who the audience is to this person, whether it's a producer or a money person. Because even if you take a movie like Avengers, one of the big movies, only 10% of the people in the United States went to the theater to watch that movie. So on a gigantic movie, it's a niche behavior. And we now have... I believe the entire economy of the world is based on human attention, and we now have the most competition for attention that we've ever had. Never in existence. All of us up here, we turn our phone, but there's people that want our attention. You have to be able to pivot when you pitch, like you were saying. Most of my business is word of mouth, but every once in a while on a big gig, I got to go in and pitch. So this one time I printed out this 42-page multi-level deck, and we handed them out, and I just saw people thumbing through it, and I was like, oh man. And I went and grabbed them all and just threw them in the trash. Said, that's what other people would come in here and do. Let me tell you why I'm here. And I got up on a soapbox and told them how much I loved the movie, how much I understood the audience, and how if this movie didn't work, I was going to be puking in a trash can that Friday night that it opened. And that's how I got the gig, right? So you have to have a unique presence, because most people are exhausted by being pitched. You're just someone else who's walked in the room. Give them a hug card, do something, And also, don't pretend you know more than they do, even though you probably do. respect their opinion. Like, well, I don't think anybody wants to watch a movie about this. And you're like, I can understand why you would say that, which is a nice way of saying, boy, you have no idea what you're talking about. But you say, I can understand why you would say that. Be prepared with examples. But more than anything, be likable. Like, people want to work with people they like. That's just the way it is. That's my secret, is I come in with pictures of my kids and giving people hugs and, just be nice, be likable.
Honnie?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really important when it comes to pitching, I mean, everything that's been said here is just so spot on. But I think that you really have to make the case for, why are you the one to tell this story? I think it ties in directly with the passion for the story, even if I disagree just a tad about, you're born to pitch. I think there's definitely skills, but if you're passionate about your story, and if you can make the case about why you are the only one that can uniquely tell this story in a way that's going to connect with people, that will come across, and I think that that's huge.
I guess it goes back to the old Greek adage, know thyself. And if you have problems like addiction, gambling, drinking, it's going to get in the way. And so the best thing to do is just get all your ducks in a row and go that way. Otherwise, you're just going to get lost in the wind. And that's basically how I go with this. Otherwise, I'll be like, thrown all over the place. So you have to be grounded, and you have to know what you want. And you have to really be passionate about your project. I mean, for years. We're not talking about like a few months. We're talking about years, like sometimes decades. I mean, I was at a talk a few years ago where a guy was homeless for a while. He was on drugs, and then he got his life together, and he pitched the screenplay about his life to all these producers, and it took him 10 years to get the film made. And then I think he had Ben Kingsley or somebody, and really, good actors attached. So be ready for the long haul.
Okay, thank you. Now I want to talk about first of all, if you have questions at any point in time during a talk or during part of the panel, just raise your hand. I want to address all your questions while we can. So if you have any questions, all right. Now I want to go into the difference between branding and marketing. So Suzy, you do branding.
Yes.
All right. Ash, you do marketing. Okay, Suzy, start out.
Okay,
what branding is.
And then we can tag, because to me, branding is the higher lift and purpose of why you are doing something, and around that comes true distinction and contextual enrichment that then is, once you have your higher lift, what you do might be making a film or asking your wife out on a date or running a marathon. And that then needs a voice around it, which branding can inform. So if you think of Simon Sinek, who wrote, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The why is the branding. There's an idea for a film, but around that idea are born many ideas from the time a screenwriter looks at it till the time it's launched. That is what you then can turn over once you have a branding mindset to marketing to give it a voice to your audience.
Okay, and why is it important to begin the branding in the development phase of a project?
That's a great question, and that is because that is when stories are born. There is an idea born that gets to a screenwriter and will eventually, or not, become a film. But the stories that start around that the minute it's birthed is why you need a branding mindset, to keep that higher lift and that higher purpose in mind. And in the development stage is where it belongs. And as it steps through the process that then, that Honnie takes, and that, it's what happens there with Ash is that you start to voice that. And it starts to impact the way you name a film, or you talk about a film, or even who you cast in a film. It is a powerful overriding force that lives up above marketing.
Thank you. Ash?
Yeah, so somebody once told me that the job of the marketer was to make people think they would like the movie. And then the brand, and then the job of the brander was to make sure it actually delivered on that promise, right? I like to use practical examples because people can go look it up and see. So my favorite mix of those two was a movie I worked on called Dear White People, which the guy who made it, Justin, came out of a marketing department. So he was all over it. Anytime we had an idea, I would throw out an idea that wasn't very good, and he would make it great. But the mix of marketing and branding in that movie is something you can go research, and it's great because we had an art house urban comedy with no comps, which in Hollywood, when they called me, Roadside Attractions, who I love to work with, were like, we don't even know if we can release this movie. Like, will anybody like it? And I was like, you know what? The internet always tells you what they like or don't like. So let's put some stuff out there. And what we did is instead of just taking a trailer, we actually created a video for racism insurance with some of the actors from the movie. And that got over 100 million views organically without us spending a dollar. And that tonally was the movie. So that was mixing brand with marketing. And even though that movie didn't do a ton theatrically, it's gone on to be a franchise. It's now a television show, and it's done very well. So that's a great mix. And you can go back and look at that stuff and see the cadence of how it rolled out.
All right. Are there any questions? Yes. Can you... Wait.
That movie?
It's called Dear White People. So it was a
White.
Dear White People. It was a short film that then became a movie that now has become a series.
To piggyback what that they said, even at the development stage, it's about the story. Peter Guber, who runs Mandalay Pictures, at AFM 10 years ago, 12 years ago, spoke to about 200 filmmakers and said, let me tell you about what you're doing. You start out with a story, and the story has got to be one that there's a market sufficient enough to see the movie. And it is as fungible, meaning it can spoil in the same time period that you take a banana and peel it until it turns bad. All right, so you got that window of time to get what they're doing across. And then he said, a good story can use special effects. But he said a bad story, you don't ever want to put special effects to bring it up. And then he said something that was amazing. It's the only manufacturing business in the world that cannot go to the market and price the product based on the cost to manufacture. Now think of that. You manufacture a widget. It costs you a certain amount to manufacture it, and you go to the market and price based on what the cost to manufacture it. You do a movie, a $100,000 movie. It still gets the same $12 or $14 as a $100 million movie. So it's the only manufacturing business that can't go to the market and price it based on the cost to manufacture. The other thing that I want to leave you with, if there are no questions, are there any questions back there? Are there any questions that have come in? Okay.
Hi, Ash. I have a question for you.
Could you stand up, please?
Is your digital marketing for Dear White People, is that an anomaly? Or is most of your digital marketing for films more general in terms of like trailers?
Yeah. So, Woodchuck the Great Squirrel. We're live. Yeah. It's the smaller the movie, the more they're willing to do whatever you ask them to do. Right? So if I were like this movie I'm working on, The Current War, I had a great idea of there was something called epic rap battles that had, Tesla versus Edison, which is what the movie's about. I'm like, hey, why don't we go do that with Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Holland? And someone's like, that will cost $1 billion. It's an anomaly in the sense of you can't do it on everything. But we've done a lot of getting the rights to a song. We did a small faith-based movie where I went and got the rights to the Cohen version of Hallelujah. We re-recorded it with people in the movie. We've done that multiple times. So the smaller movies actually allow you to do that. And often it's not as expensive as you think, right? Because if you re-record a version and you just want it for the internet, you can get rights that sometimes are hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think we paid like $2,500 for "Don't Stop Believin'," just we wanted a 2-month window on the internet only, right? So it's a little bit of an anomaly in Hollywood, but if you're making an independent movie, you better be thinking about that.
So I want to leave this panel with one thought to tell you. The industry as it sits and stands right now belongs to the independent film world. You've never been in a better time or a better place to make your movies. And you look at the movies that were nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and you put them all in one basket or one hat, and for the last 3 years, and put them all together, only 4 of them were not wholly or substantially privately funded. So it belongs to the independent filmmaker, because if you don't have the stories that we want to believe in, then you can't get it out of what I call development hell, because it is hard, and development costs money in the development phase. So keep that in mind. And what?
Can you talk for just 1 second, Corky, about the accessibility of your panel members today, that you choose people for panels that people can come up and talk?
Everyone on my panels the entire day, and anyone that's here.
Sorry, Corky, could you just repeat that question, please, for the online audience?
What?
Could you repeat that lady's question for the online audience?
Okay, yeah. The question is, will you tell the audience how accessible all the panel members are throughout the day? They're not. No, they are. No. Every panel member that is on any of my panels anywhere are totally accessible. They're accessible to you today, tomorrow, in a week, in a year. I mean, they're here to try and help on the proper projects, help your dreams come true.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. I just had a quick question going back to the pitch. At what stage of development do I want to present my project to you guys? Should I be at the idea stage? Should I have a screen? Or, at what stage should I be presenting it to the people that I want to pitch it to?
Okay, well, just so you know, there are different pitches to producers, there are different pitches to money, there are different pitches to actors, there are different pitches to distribution. You can you can answer that?
Yeah, sure. Here we go. Like Honnie said earlier, you need to show why you're in a unique position. So if you're pitching that's something that's just an idea, you need to be like, I have secured the rights to this great story, and let me tell you about it, right? What the pitches I like are when I say, man, that's really neat. Come back to me when you have a script. And they go, well, I have one right here. Like, to me, the higher you get up to pitch, you need to be ready to have the layered. Do you know who the audience is? Actually, yes, I do. I've done this full report on it, right? So you don't have to pitch the entirety of what you have, but if they show interest, because believe it or not, everyone in Hollywood is nice. I won't say who it was, but it's a very famous actor that was being offered a project that I'm helping, and they sent just a gloriously nice email that was basically like, there's no way I will ever do your movie, ever. But it was just a really nice email. So everybody's nice, right? So no, because you never know like who the next Spielberg's going to be. And you don't want to be the guy that sat in the meeting like, oh, kid, you're never going to be nothing, you know? So everybody's really nice. So the one thing you can't do is go to someone else. Well, I talked to so-and-so and they really liked it. Doesn't mean anything unless they heard it from that person.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. What? Yeah.
I just want to refer to what was said here in the description of this section, which was how to build your production team and attract investors. That comment that you just made is the closest thing I've heard to some prescriptive ideas about how to actually attract investors. Can you folks speak to these two topics a little bit more specifically?
Yeah.
Production team and attracting investors.
I talk to investors all the time. My partner David and I have a group of investors who invest in film projects. And every week, someone calls me up and says, can you get money for my movie? And I say no. Because I say we do not disclose our investors until we're hired to be the attorney for the film. And they will invariably say more times than not, oh, we already have a lawyer. So I say, ask your lawyer then to find the investors for you. When you shouldn't pitch to investors until you have a team assembled. And in the development process, the team members and a development budget could be a distributor, a casting director, a producer, a director, an attorney, an accountant, and all those in the development phase cost money in the development phase. So you have to budget. How come? And the development money comes from friends and family. I know nobody that's going to invest in the development phase of a project. And then when you pitch your project to anyone in the business, they're going to ask you who else is a part of your team, and you have to be able to say, my team consists of A, B, C, D. And do not ever say you've attached talent, whether they're a director, actor, producer, without a real attachment. And a letter of intent is not an attachment. An interest. I've talked to so-and-so, and he or she has an interest. That's not an attachment. I can't tell you how many times I've had someone said, I want you to help me. I've got Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and my friend knows this person, my friend knows that, and I've got an interest in talking to so-and-so who said they're into. It's not an attachment. Do not try to tell anyone here that you have an attachment when you really do not have a legal attachment in that process, because that's going to burn you. That you're going to lose credibility, and you're never going to get your project moving forward.
I have some practical advice for you, though. So as far as attracting crew, you give them an opportunity to do something they haven't done before. So if it's a great cinematographer that you think can direct, and you think that's worth an opportunity. I have some friends who did an very independent, tiny movie. They got an Academy Award-winning sound mixer because he was so used to doing stuff like Batman, and what he really wanted to do was sit in a studio in Nashville and mix music, right? So give them an opportunity to do something they don't normally get to do.
Look, I can't agree with that more. Last week, I get a call from Russell Crowe, and he says to me, I want to do this movie, and I want you to help me with it. And the twist is, I said to him, I don't think we can afford the fee that you want to put in the budget. He said, don't worry, I want to direct the movie. So when you use his example, where you've got Russell Crowe who says that he's going to star in it, he wants to direct it, and he's going to take a very low fee because it's his movie. There are people that will really do that. But again, thank you very much. We have to wrap up this panel, and thank you.